In January of 1948, Erie Railroad ordered 27 NW2 switcher locomotives for their roster, 1686 being one of them, then numbered as 405. The NW2 fleet were numbered 401 through 427. NW2s can produce 1,000 horsepower and produce 31,000 pounds of tractive effort. In 1960, Erie Railroad merged with the Lackawanna Railroad to make the Erie-Lackawanna Railroad, making the locomotives being repainted in the Lackawanna scheme, but marked as Erie-Lackawanna. The NW2 fleet served until 1976, when Conrail was formed. 405 was renumbered to 9212. She was patched for a short period of time and then being repainted in Conrail colors, where she would keep it for another 3 decades. 405 was eventually retired in the mid-1980s, with I assume a few other of the NW2 fleet as well. 9212 eventually was sold to Mr. Abernathy in 1986. Mr. Abernathy was a short line owner in those times and was part of the revival of the almost abandoned Dunlap branch. Galactic-Pikeville had been ripped up by the Seaboard system a year prior. Mr. Abernathy stepped forward to purchase the line, but was only able to buy Bridgeport, Alabama to Jasper, Tennessee, while Jasper to Dunlap was leased. Anyways, 9212 was renumbered to 1686, and it became the first locomotive to serve the Sequoia Valley Railroad. As the roster grew, 1686 was there. When locomotives were sold, 1686 was there. She was the trusty workhorse when needed. Unfortunately, in the mid-2000s, 1686 and WH&E 1186 were replaced by GP7 201 and B23-7 3986, but their history is for another time. 1686 was usually found slowly rusting at South Pittsburgh, Tennessee, not being used. Somewhere between 2001 and 2003, 1210s and 1686's trucks were swapped. 1210 was needed for power on the SQVR, while S1686 would rest on 1210's old pair. Time moved slow, and 1686 hadn't seen action in several years now. In 2005, 1686, 1186, 1891, 690, and 706 were moved to Jasper, Tennessee for storage, then being moved to Bridgeport, Alabama in 2008. Time moved slow, but 1686's rusting was speeding up. Conrail blue started to fade and flake away to a rustish look. In 2010, 1686, 1186, and 1891 were parked on the Y with 690 and 706 parked across from them. They would sit for one more year. 1686's Sequoia Valley RR on the sides were barely even readable at this state. Unfortunately, in May of 2011, 1686, 1891, 690, and 706 were cut up for scrap right on the spot. Prior to 1686's final moments, Mr. Abernathy paid respects to the old reliable workhorse by putting something along the words of, "Going to miss you," on the side of the locomotive. 1186 had the same words on her too, but as you may have seen, her fate was different. That's also another story for another time. Only parts of 1686 remain now. Her headlamp now owned by a private owner. Her trucks still on SQVR 1210, now Monticello Railway Museum 784. Sequatchie Valley Railroad 1686's memory lives on by photographs and the little footage of the railroad in its prime. She will never be forgotten. Thank you for watching this history video. There'll be more on the way. Till next time. Peace.